Hello and welcome to Surveyor Says, the podcast from the National Society of Professional Surveyors. Each week, we bring you fascinating guests that are involved in the profession of surveying. We cover a lot of ground, including Table A Talk with Gary Kent, Point of Order with the NSPS Joint Government Affairs Team, Future Focus, highlighting current and future leaders of the profession, and everything survey-related in between. Thanks for joining us here on the podcast, and hope you enjoyed listening to this episode of Surveyor Says. Hello and welcome to another episode of Surveyor Says. This is Tim Burch, the Executive Director of NSPS. And boy, does time fly. We've been off for a couple of weeks away from the podcast, but we've actually been running and catching our breath on various things. So we thought we would just take a step back. Our policy has been from day one with the podcast is no reruns. If you want to know, old things to listen to, you know where the catalog is. There's a lot of good stuff out there. Go pick what you want. We don't have to necessarily suggest a rerun to you. So go to surveyorsayspodbean.com and find all of the episodes there. But we thought we would recap the last several weeks of what's been going on with NSPS because there is a lot of happenings, a lot of events, a lot of business that's been taking place. So we thought we would catch up. And so first off, let's just start about some of our recent visits. I've had the opportunity to visit several different places over the past month, 6 weeks, including Massachusetts, the Malseas conference. Wonderful people up there, and appreciate the opportunity to come up and speak and participate in a bunch of their things. Been able to do some presentations for Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville, several presentations for various chapters for our California Land Surveyors Association, good people out there. And then I guess the big thing that we pulled off 3 separate sessions over a course of 24 hours was Global Surveyors Day. What we ended up doing was NSPS was designated to pick the Global Surveyor of the Year this time last year. And so we did our research, we did our homework, and we come up with who we thought was a very, very good candidate. And we set up this Global Surveyors Day with our fellow association partners over in Europe, FIG and CLGE, to create Global Surveyors Day from here. Like I said, 3 separate sessions to cover the time zones around the globe. And we went through what typically what we do as far as National Surveyors Week and all of the activities and things that we would do here in the United States. And then we were able to unveil a beautiful poster that we put together and to designate Benjamin Banneker as our Global Surveyor of the Year. Very well received, and been a lot of great comments from around the world on how appropriate it was, even though Banneker wasn't his life isn't really solely centered around surveying. It's all the things he did as a free black man in colonial America, with his astronomy, his almanac. He studied cicadas. I mean, there were so many things that he was a wonderful man that was able to succeed in a time when free black people were not supposed to succeed. They were supposed to obviously be slaves and work for others back in those days. So we were able to designate him, and that was, like I said, that was very well received. Moving on from that, we ended up with our spring business meetings in Arlington, Virginia. Ended up with a great week of activities along with the student competition. We'll get into that as well. Our lobby day efforts, our annual lobby day efforts took place then. We did have a few groups that were able to go to Capitol Hill. It's still a little bit locked down, but we'll see where that goes coming up out of this. It was actually a very, very well attended lobby day effort. In fact, I was able to go with a group with Alabama to meet their local U.S. representative, and had a wonderful time. They were glad to see people in person for a change, and like I said, hopefully over the next year we open that way up. Another thing that happened during that business week is the installation of our officers. Our officers usually serve from spring meeting to spring meeting. And so this year, we went ahead and got the new ones installed. Our president is Amanda Allred from Washington. The president-elect is now Bob Akins, and we'll get into that in just a second. Vice president is vacant. We'll get into that a little further. Reelected is Craig Amy, first secretary from Michigan. He'll serve a 2-year term. Bob Miller is in his last year of his from Pennsylvania. Last year as treasurer of NSPS, and now our immediate past president is Mark Sargent from New Hampshire. The reason Bob Akins was moved up to president-elect and the vice president position was left vacant at that point in time was because, well, I was supposed to be the new president coming in, and with all of the things going on with the moving into the executive director role, they just didn't want there to be any kind of conflict of interest, complete transparency. So I resigned back in February from the president-elect role. So that meant Bob Akins coming in as the basically elected vice president. When he was installed, immediately moved up to president-elect, which in turn left the vice president role vacant. So what the board of directors has done in the meantime, and we've added this to the bylaws, was to create a vice president pro tem position, a temporary vice president for the remainder of a role, an unfilled role, and that position is filled by an election from the floor of the board of directors, whether it's a special meeting or a regularly scheduled meeting. And this year, we because of that situation, we had to do that. They're in Arlington. And Davy Edwards from Corpus Christi, Texas, a newcomer, but yet very, very active in the student competition and the education side of NSPS, was elected for that vice president pro tem role. So he will fill that for the remainder of the vice president term. And then this next election cycle, we will be finding a slate of candidates for both vice president and president-elect. So that's a little explanation of what happened with me and my presidential elect and eventually presidential role, my role as an officer, and how Davy Edwards basically, he was able to come out of nowhere, and all of a sudden he's an officer in the association, and I think it's going to really work out well because he brings another side of advocacy, especially on the educational side. His role as an educator, I think, will be very, very handy and very, very helpful in the development of our advocacy and our promotion of the profession. There just seems to be like also coming out of this with some of our committee meetings was a renewed enthusiasm for workforce development. And a good friend of mine, Tim Murphy from Illinois, heads up that committee. They did a fantastic job. I mean, really getting down to what is workforce development. Because so many groups, so many associations want to talk about it, want to develop it, but what you got to define it. So what really is it? And so that's what Tim and his group sat down and did and really cranked through some things. I think you're going to see a lot coming from that committee over the next year, simply because our profession is going to, we're really looking towards that. We really have to know what's going on with workforce, what it's going to take to get that next generation of apprentices, of surveyors, of CAD technicians, all of the people that are going to be necessary to carry this profession on. In defining that's going to help us with tools on how to go out there and find those people and encourage them to get into this. So that was a big thing coming out of as far as the committees go. Another thing we did to wrap it up that Saturday night was a nice reception of friends and family for our executive director emeritus, Kurt Sumner. It was not quite a roast, but we had some people tell some good stories. Not too risque, but they were pretty good stories of a fantastic career that Kurt continues even to this day. But it was a wonderful event, good food, good friends and family, and a lot of laughs all the way around. So really enjoyed that part of it, and that's to have that whole family of surveying together there that night was really, really nice. What I did hold up for the last part of the spring business meetings was the student competition. We will tell a little bit more about this in an upcoming podcast with our young surveyors, who I think it was kind of some arm twisting to get them to run the competition this year. But boy, I mean, it was a lot of work, and it was a lot of sleepless nights, and like I said, a lot of Tums and a few libations along the way. But I tell you what, they pulled it off. It was a great event. We had, I think, either 13 or 14 teams. I have to go back and look at the list. But they all enjoyed it. It was just overwhelming, the response of the type of competition and the camaraderie. And it even started out right, that we had a good social kind of a mixer to get to know each other the first night. The second night after the first day of competition, we had a guest speaker in Dave Doyle that told a lot about the monuments and the surveying around the D.C. area and things. And Dave told it only the way Dave could tell it. We did have a part of the introduction with the young surveyors was, and I'm not ashamed to say this, but we asked for a tattoo contest, and it had to be in places that would be normally visible with to the naked eye, and so nothing risque there. But that was a lot of fun. Think the older generation of the crowd was a little bit taken aback, but we had fun with it, and there's some wonderful artwork out there. It was kind of fun to throw out there. But bottom line is the kids, the students had a great time. The young surveyors had a great time. Big thank you to Les and Lisa Van Horn. They drove a whole bunch of historic equipment from Green Bay, Wisconsin, so all of the teams could be working on a level playing field for the second day of the event, which we'll get into, like I said, in a separate podcast. But wonderful event, and I think we're planning on continuing with that platform. We'll leave that up to the student competition committee and the education committee to decide. But I think that's going to be a good one. I really do. It was fun. It was a lot of networking, a lot of get to know some of the history and some of the background of the surveying, and we're really tied it in nicely there with the whole thing with the Global Surveyors Day. So for the student awards, we actually had Benjamin Banneker and Andrew Ellicott help give away some of the prizes. So it was very, very nice, very, very well done. So I would say, in all, it was a successful spring business, and we look forward to being in Tulsa in the fall, and we hope we can catch a little bit of that lightning in the bottle out there as well. We'll have a pack golf tournament, and I think, like I said, getting back in touch with each other, seeing each other in person. We're all zoomed out, so I think that's really going to help the committees, and we're going to be able to do a lot more constructive things going forward. Next up on the list, and actually is a pretty big one as well, was a site visit. I went with John Hohall, our FIG delegate. We met with Louise and Michael from FIG, along with our conference planners, and met down in Orlando at the host hotel, the Hilton Signia and the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in Orlando, Florida, just off of Disney Springs. We visited the hotel and conference center to check out the site for the FIG 2023 Working Week. So it was quite a whirlwind tour. We had a lot to see in a day and a half. Bottom line, this working week is going to be really robust, and a lot of work is going into all of the different activities. Besides a large exhibit hall, probably the largest exhibit hall we've seen as far as surveying in the United States in 10 or 15 years. They'll have room for demonstrations. A lot of educational sessions. And also included in those sessions are going to be a lot of our government agencies here, including NGS. There's going to be a big rollout of the 2022 datum and all the things that are going on with the National Spatial Reference System, things that are going on with Opus, a lot of the tools, the NCAT tools. A lot of good stuff is going to be really rolled out big time next year with NGS. We're planning on having some sessions with BLM and the CFEDS program, and also going to have some interaction with the National Forest Service. It's amazing how much they're really engaged in the surveying community, because a lot of their property, falls under BLM, falls under government jurisdiction, but boundary's boundary, and they have to employ a lot of surveyors to keep an inventory on this ground. So we've been really busy with the National Forest Service quite a bit these last few years. This is going to be a lot of international networking. That's going to be the nice thing coming out of this, is that to be able to meet like-minded professionals from around the world that are doing exactly what we're doing, but they're slightly different because of where they're at. So there's going to be some things it's going to be a little bit different, but it'll be fun to meet and greet and compare notes with our international brethren from around the world. There's going to be also some opportunities for corporate or organizational retreats. We're going to set up some meeting rooms that if you're a larger surveying firm that wants to use that as a meeting site for say a corporate retreat, and then tie that in with the exhibit hall and the FIG working week, be a great opportunity. Just give us a ring. Let us know if that's something you might be interested in. We'd like to set you up with a complimentary meeting room and get you signed up for the working week. We're also going to do a golf outing. Part of it is going to benefit the FIG Foundation, responsible for providing scholarships and funding for grants for surveyors around the world. And then the other part is for the NSPS Political Action Committee, or PAC, for our efforts in dealing with our legislators and making sure that we keep an eye on the rules and regulations across the country. There's also going to be some technical tours that are going to go on. We're setting stuff up right now for some behind the scenes and some stuff at the Kennedy Space Center. We're also setting up some stuff at a NOAA facility, in which it's the place where the planes are based that actually do the hurricane hunting. And there's as far as we know, that's not something that's ever really been toured before. So that's something we're going to look into. So bottom line is, this is going to be a great week in Orlando. Great facilities. It's going to be a great introduction to surveying around the world. I think the nice thing about the exhibit hall is you're going to be exposed to a lot of vendors that you don't see on the internet. You don't see in our trade magazines here, because they're small, but they're revolutionary, and they're just real. It's really interesting to see how many small, bootstrapped new ideas are out there, just waiting for that opportunity to dazzle you. I've had the opportunity to see a few of these from time to time. Actually invested in some of the technology, and it's really, really worth taking the time to go through the exhibit hall in a place like this. So, looking to see what we can do there. I think, like I said, I think everybody's going to have fun down there. All right, something else that's come up since I've started here back at the first of the year of 2022. I've had a lot of people during all of my talks across the country, what is NSPS? Because for our 14,000 plus members, a lot of them don't know who we are, don't know what we do, don't know what their membership is paying for. So, that's part of what we have to do a better job of explaining. So this week we thought, in bringing you up to speed on a lot of these events going on, we'd also kind of give you an idea. I want to give you an idea of what NSPS is really about as well. Yes, we do have a mission statement, and bottom line is we're the national advocate for surveying across this country, trying to do everything we can to look out for the profession and where it's going, both in regulations and both promotion. We do have a very thorough ethics policy in which our members are really trying to hold themselves, and we hold the organization to a higher standard in doing the right thing, in protecting the public. I mean, bottom line is that's what the role of the surveyor is. And so we do have a very solid ethics policy that we ask that our members follow as well. Bottom line is it's promotion of the profession. And that promotion can include advocacy. That promotion can include just getting the public to understand who we are, what we do, what our role is in development, in construction, in asset management, and to also make the public aware of what we do so future generations can understand and hopefully embrace, like a lot of us have over the years, and what a great opportunity, great career this is. Bottom line is, we won't compete with our affiliate partners in trying to get out some of these messages. I mean, bottom line is we're working together on this stuff, the promotion, the education. We're working together. We're not competing against anything. And we will provide some content as needed. But, a lot of times what happens is that a local member within us, any given state will ask NSPS to give an educational program on whatever it may be, whether it's a land title survey, topographic standards, what have you. Because of continuing education, because of licensure, specific licensure in the states, we don't do that. We are not in that business. Bottom line is, look to your states. That's where they adapt and then develop their own educational curriculum for your specific use. Now, if there's something we can give as far as an educational talk on a higher level that's not necessarily state and boundary law or a state specific thing, by all means, we will provide some content as requested. But bottom line is, we let the state affiliates. That's their domain. That's their role, is to provide those CEU and PDH opportunities. They can provide those things because bottom line, they know the statutes and the needs of the surveyors in each of those states much better than we do. And we don't want to get in the way of our state affiliates providing this content. So, when somebody asks me, can we provide some of these things, unfortunately, depending on how detailed they want to be, sometimes it can be, if it's 30,000 foot level, sure, we can help out. But if it's something that we're going to compete with a state conference or a state seminar, no, we're going to yield to our partner. And hopefully that state affiliate will be able to put something together in line with what's being asked. And other things that we try to do is in promotion of the profession. Because we are a nonprofit, because we're working with industry partners, we have specific guidelines we need to follow as well. That there is a lot of groups out there that, because they're not formal, because they're not a legal corporation, a legal group, legally formed, there's nothing really we can do with some of these things. These can be Facebook groups, they can be Instagram groups together. There's a lot of stuff, especially social media, that we cannot align with, we can't promote, we can't be promoting a lot of these things with, simply because we don't have any kind of affiliation with them. We don't have an agreement with them. Our state affiliates are legal entities, just as we are. So there's a lot of times, and pick any of the Facebook groups you want to, we're not going to publicize anything on there. We're not going to like anything on those posts, because bottom line is we don't have a relationship with them. And just because that they could be licensed professionals, they're just, they are technicians, they are somebody in the survey field, what have you, because there's not an affiliation there, and really a professional corporate respect and relationship, we can't do those things. So, we have sustaining members, we have our affiliates, we have memorandums of understanding with them, government agencies we have relationships with. So, unfortunately, we cannot participate in these platforms, these unorganized events, social media groups. Bottom line, we can't do it. And that's just to be fair to everyone. Because if you start it with one, even if it seems as simple and as harmless as it may be, somebody else will come along, and pretty soon, I liken it to somebody that wins the lottery, and all of a sudden, one person asks for $1, well, then the next person's going to ask for $1, and then where does it stop? Because bottom line is that we don't have these relationships with all of these groups. We can't do it. We can't promote any individuals, any groups, any events. If you're not affiliated and we've got some sort of understanding with NSPS, we can't promote it. We can't be associated with it, simply because we've got to, obviously got to just draw the line somewhere. And then last but not least, all the politics, let's keep it away. I mean, we are a profession. We're not political, even though surveyors can be very, very political at times. You won't see anything political out of NSPS. That's just not what we're about. That's not who we are. So don't plan on seeing anything like that from us. A lot of times we will get invitations from various groups, from various affiliates, to come and speak, to come and participate in something. And once again, it really needs to be something we're affiliated with. But those invitations need to come through the NSPS office. Now, if you do have a specific person or an officer or somebody in mind, please let us know. If you want, somebody like Gary Kent, Gary's got his own speaking business out and about, beyond us. Even that's one thing. But if you want a specific officer, if you want President Allred to come speak to you, let us know. We can get that set up. We can put that together. However, we do ask that you let us know what the nature of the visit needs to be, what the program needs to be about, and if it's going to be in person, help us out here. If we tried to fulfill every one of these requests, unfortunately, we would go broke. So if you can help us get that person there, whether it's travel, whether it's lodging, if there's any kind of registration fee, what have you, some form of some compensation to get that person there is beneficial. That really helps our organization as a nonprofit help get that word out, get the people that you want to see and hear, gets them to you. So it's really important that you do that. But if you don't ask for anybody specific, bottom line is that it comes into NSPS. It starts at the request will go to the top. It'll start at the president and whittle its way down, and we'll find somebody to come speak at your event and talk about what NSPS is all about and know exactly what it is that we're trying to put together as far as programs, as our advocacy, as our promotion, all of those things. All right, upcoming events, places you will see NSPS. We are going to be busy. Bottom line is that we're coming out of this pandemic. I think people really want to hear and see more about what we're doing. I think the promotion side of surveying is really starting to pick up. So we've had a lot of requests for seminars, for presentations, for appearances, various things. So let me just throw a few of these out just so you know. And if you do have a request, please send it to us. You can send it either to me here at NSPS, tim.burch@nsps.us.com. Find us on the internet. Find us. I'm out there on social media as well. Just shoot me a note and we'll put it together, but we'll add you to the list. But things that are coming up, we have got the American School Counselors Conference. This is our 6th year. We're going to be attending that. It'll be in Austin, Texas, second week of July. Looking forward to another great conference, usually somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 school counselors and teachers lot of exhibitors, a lot of great energy. It's amazing the people once, and usually what we do is we attract them with an augmented reality sandbox, and I believe we're going to have one from the Texas Young Surveyors this year that it's going to put together. But once you get people's attracted with that, then they hear how great the profession is, and they just don't know what we do. They eat it up, and we're starting to hear more and more. We heard it from some of our students in the competition a couple of weeks ago in Arlington, that they heard about this profession through their school counselor, which is fantastic, and we're going to keep trying to promote that. So, like I said, that's second week of July, Austin, Texas, the American School Counselors Association. Unfortunately, at the exact same time, for those of you on a little more on the technical side, it's also the ESRI User Conference out in San Diego. I will be out there for a couple of sessions and a couple of panel discussions for some things, doing what we can to further integrate GIS and surveying. Brent Jones with ESRI/ERISA, we've been working together. We worked with Linda Foster and our South Dakota representative, and Amanda Allred, our NSPS president, last year to put together the Survey and GIS Summit virtually last November. It was very well received. A lot of great comments, a lot of great content. It's actually still out there for free if you want to go out and find it on our YouTube channel or on that website, surveyandgissummit.com. But bottom line is we really need to see more of an intersection of surveying and GIS, along with some of our other technologies. But so we'll make our appearance at the UC, and looking forward to being out there. Something else that to tie in with the GIS is the ERISA GIS Pro Conference. That'll be in Boise in October. Actually, Linda and I are going to be speaking on a panel up there, and we'll have a few more surveyors tied into this here shortly. But it's nice to have a like-minded organization in ERISA invite us in to talk about surveying and how well it works with GIS, the data sets, the coordinate systems, everything that's coming together now. That's another great opportunity to really hear why everything like that comes together. Another one like I said, I think things are starting the pendulum's starting to swing in a lot more positive way. We've been invited through the Texas DOT. They have an annual user conference consultant gathering. That'll be in the second week of August. Once again, down in Austin. We've been invited to come down, talk about surveying, talk about the National Spatial Reference System and how things are tying together, and all of the things that NSPS is doing to promote the profession, the CST program, the TrigStar program, CFEDS, everything that we're doing. So, having the DOTs now recognizing that we are someone that can bring content to them and help them and their organization and their consultants better understand where surveying is going from a nationwide perspective is fantastic. And it's really, really great to be able to do that. Other state conferences that are going to be coming up, these are the ones we know of right now. If you're not on this list and you would like us to come to talk at your state at some point in time, let me know. We'll try to get there. But looks like we're going to be at the Missouri State Board meeting in October. Texas, I'm actually going to be in Texas in a couple of weeks for several chapter meetings and some other things. Wisconsin, coming to Wisconsin in July for a chapter meeting and some other events. A couple things in Florida. Trying to head back to Maine and Connecticut back in the fall. A couple of things coming up there. And California. We're going to be out in California hopefully either middle of the summer or sometime in the early fall on some speaking engagements there as well. Like I said, if you're not on this list, you didn't hear me say it, let us know. We would love to come to your conference, come to your seminar, and let you know what NSPS is doing for you, because that's the bottom line, is that we're looking out for your profession advocacy of what your career path is and where all this is going. I would be amiss if I didn't mention next July. I believe it's the third week of July. It's finally back. The Boy Scout Jamboree. It's actually at the Bechtel camp in West Virginia. A lot more information to come. Kyle Schultz from Illinois is heading up the surveying committee for the surveying merit badge for the Jamboree this time. Like I said, there'll be a lot more coming up the pike with that, and we'd look forward to having that back. Bottom line is the Survey Merit Badge is a great program. It doesn't get its due because of how thorough it is, and it takes a little bit longer. It takes a scout a little bit longer to get that badge, but the ones that do go through it, they look back and they do say how much it was worthwhile to take that extra time and not just blow through some other badges that they could get very quickly, but the time it takes and the effort and the commitment it takes to get that badge. They really like seeing that, really like to have that. And like I said, as more events come up, we'll let you know. So let me give you some programming teasers, some things that are going to be coming up within the rest of the calendar year. I want to let you know some of these things and to be on the lookout for some opportunities to get engaged with NSPS, because I think we're going to have some fun with some of these events as we go along. Everyone knows the old ACSM and NSPS terms book. This has been a staple in the test takers' arsenal for many, many years. And last time it was actually updated was 2005. We actually did just basically a cover update a couple of years ago to freshen it and make it look a little more age appropriate. But it really needs updated. There's a lot of terms in our lexicon that have been inserted since 2005. So what we're going to do, and you'll see an announcement here in the coming weeks, we're going to crowdsource that data. So what we're going to do is we're going to put out a call to all of you of go through that book. And if there are technical terms that are missing from that book, that you really feel that they should be in that book, that it should be part of what our profession is all about going forward, we're going to have you submit that, and with a loose definition. And so we're going to leave that open for several weeks, for a while, and then we're assembling a committee through our education committee. We're a subcommittee through the education portion to look through those. And we're going to pick a number of them, whether it's 5, whether it's 10, whatever. From all of the ones that we will use, some of them, we'll decide whether they get kicked out or not if it doesn't apply. But we're going to pick up a top 5 or a top 10, and we'll let you know. We're going to put together some special prize packages for those that actually took the time to think about these terms and put out terms that need to be included in this, that would be a great part of this reference book, and that way we can have this thing spit out. We'd like to have it done by the end of the year, but we will see how long it takes to put some of this stuff together. But we think that if you take the time to come up with these terms, give us a reasonable definition that we'll double check, we'll check them out. But the top ones, you deserve something for that. So we'll put some prize packages together. So watch the socials, watch your email for the announcements of the releasing of the terms book crowdsourcing contest. Another thing we would like to do a contest for is we want your ideas. Something that's been brought to our attention both at the national and international level is a lot of professions have a symbol, a universally recognized symbol for what they do, who they are. We would like your ideas, and we're going to have a contest probably starting early summer to submit your ideas for a simple logo that would be could be eventually utilized, hopefully, for the basis of an international symbol. bottom line is, between ourselves, FIG, CLGE, our affiliates around the world, we would like to come up with this internationally recognized symbol that when somebody sees that, whether it's on a warning board going down the highway for surveyors ahead, or if any place we want to put for advertising, what have you, they see that symbol, they know that's a surveyor. That's something geospatial. So look for an announcement in the coming weeks as well for a logo contest. We're hoping to get some inspiration from those out in the field, because if you go out and ask the general public what is a surveyor, they'll tell you it's the guy with the tripod and the camera taking pictures. Well, that's so far from what we do these days. You, the practitioners out there, tell us what would represent your profession. What do you think of when you think of yourself as a surveyor? So we'll get that out there and we'll see how that goes. One other contest we do want to have, the intro music, the music you hear throughout Surveyor Says, it's open source. Bottom line, that we found it off of some shareware, free open source. I know there's some musical talent out there with surveyors. Kurt Sumner himself is a pretty good guitar player. We want to hear. We're going to put that call out to you. We would like to have you provide us examples of what you think would be appropriate podcast background music. And what we'll do is we'll have a crack panel of judges that will pick from that. And we'll probably pick a top 3 with some prizes. And then the top one, the one that we actually do if we end up choosing and using it, we would like to enter into a licensing agreement with you to use that music for our podcast. And so that that's some way that we can tie this all in, that besides the content being surveying, the music's by a surveyor, which we think would be really kind of cool. So we'll have some things going on there. The last of my, our personal internal teasers. One of the best, most popular things we have on our social media accounts is Monument Monday. Well, a combination of the popularity of Monument Monday and the number of pictures we get brought in, and like I said, this will be for another podcast here shortly about the student competition. But one day of that competition was a scavenger hunt of monuments around D.C. We'll get into the details of that on the podcast. But we would like to do a scavenger hunt for you. And so what we would like to do is we're going to draw at random at various places around the country monuments within the NGS database, and we are going to throw them out there. And the first person to be able to pull a geotagged picture of that monument will win a prize package. And like I said, we're going to do this all over the country. So we'll pick them at random. So we'll try not to make them too hard or too easy, but we'd like to do that. So it's on the ground. You have to go there. You have to go geotag that picture and get it to us for a decent prize package. So we'd like to, and while you're out there, provide us with other cool monuments you may come across. So we would really like to be able to do that as well. And I do have one last announcement just to give you a taste of what's coming around the corner besides the FIG working week and all the other things that are going on. We are currently talking with several other associations, including ERISA, UESI, SAGES, and AAGS about doing a national conference in 2024. One thing that we're lacking these days, we've got the big vendors and their national conferences. It's their own thing. What we would like to do is to find a way to bring a bunch of different disciplines in surveying, and that includes the photogrammetrists, the hydrographers, all the aerial people. I mean, everything that's surveying, GIS, everything that's geospatial. Bring it under one roof with exhibitors, with good content, with good speakers, and bring this under one one roof, on one conference. Make it affordable and make it something that you want to come to. So if you have ideas, if you have thoughts on what works, what doesn't, please, once again, shoot me an email, give me a call, what have you. Would love to hear it. Love to hear what you think. What can be that part of that conference. All right. Well, I think I've droned on long enough, and we've caught up a whole bunch of stuff, and we do have a bunch of good podcasts coming up in the next few weeks. We've got a lot of people lined up to do some things. Like I said several times now, the young surveyors are going to talk to us about the student competition held in Arlington, what worked, what didn't, some of the behind-the-scenes bits that was a little bit funny, a little bit interesting. We'll talk about a few too many cocktails at the social afterwards on the Thursday night, but no, it was a good time all around. We'll talk to the young surveyors about that. We are going to have a couple of opportunities, and one speaker in particular. There's so much being said about the NCSS and their modular testing, and there's currently a online online poll right now about some of this modular testing. It's called PAX. If you haven't seen it, take a look at it. Make sure and fill it out. But we're going to have a couple of different people come on from NCSS and tell us about the modular testing, what they're trying to accomplish with colonial state boundary, with PLSS boundaries, with all these different components within surveying to make it a more well-rounded test, depending on where you're at. So we'll that will be a good topic. Something else that people don't know in most surveying circles. Hydrographic Standards and the certification through the Hydrographic Society of America, they've changed, and they've just been updated, radically updated. A little more difficult, I'll admit, looking through them. They fall in line with more of the international hydrographic community. We're going to have somebody from THSOA on to talk about hydrographic standards and why, by simply just having your land surveying license, really doesn't qualify you for doing hydrographic surveys. It's not just a topo underwater. There's so much more to it than just that. Buying a fathometer and put their own on the boat and go. Might work for catching bass, but it doesn't work for hydrographic surveys. Another one that I'm really looking forward to. It came from a conversation that I had with one of directors I've gotten to know quite well over the years, Mr. Matt Morris from Montana. Matt is a very thorough surveyor, sole proprietor out in the northeast or northwest part of Montana. And a conversation that we had, I thought was very, very enlightening, was the survey business and data decisions, and how often the decisions you make when you're out doing those surveys on what time you do or don't spend on surveys affects your bottom line. And how do you make that decision to keep going, to keep digging, to keep looking for more, and to where you may find more to actually help your solution, or maybe not. So we had a great conversation about that, and I think it's going to be a great podcast to really talk about and give you some thought on how far to take your surveys when you're out there doing it. Especially a lot of you now, and that's one thing that has impressed me about a lot of the young surveyors, now sole proprietors, now running their own shows. How far do you take it before you say, okay, that's it. That's as far as I need to go. That's enough. That's going to give me what I need. So look for that one very soon. And like I said, we've got several other ones that are we're getting lined up for the next few weeks, but we appreciate you listening in, subscribing, and a lot of great feedback. If there are things you want to hear, if there are people you want to hear from, please let us know. Bottom line is that we've had a lot of fun putting this podcast together over the years. We've got a lot of great content, I think, still to come. But we want to make sure that it fits what you frame as surveying and geospatial. We want to make sure that it's something that's beneficial. we're going to have Gary Kent back on with a little more Table A talk on some other things, including digital survey files. But there's a lot of stuff like that we're going to be talking about in the future, because the future is up to us. And if we don't take a hold of it and we don't control it, somebody else will that doesn't care about surveying and going to meld it into whatever it may be. Very loose mapping or very bad engineering. So we'll see where that goes. But well, on that note, I appreciate you being here, appreciate you listening, and bottom line is that we're still around, we're still here, and going to hear some good things in the coming weeks. So on that note, my name is Tim Burch. I'm the Executive Director of NSPS, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. You've been listening to the Surveyor Says podcast, brought to you by the National Society of Professional Surveyors. If you have any questions about today's episode or any other topic, please email us at info@nsps.us.com, and we are here to help. Visit our website, nsps.us.com, to learn more about our association, the programs we administer and support, our sustaining members, and information about future episodes of Surveyor Says. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, as well as our podcast host, Podbean. And remember, it's a great day to be a surveyor.